Hello and welcome to Craft Colorado. I'm Erin Franklin Hutton and this is Bella Rage. How you doing, Bella?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I heard it was your birthday this weekend.
It was totally.
Happy birthday.
Thanks so much.
You guys do anything fun and exciting?
I had a big party. A lot of my friends came out for it, so I was pretty stoked about it. Overall, it was a great time. So yeah, totally. How was your weekend?
It was good. We're actually going to be interviewing Strange Craft today. We're also going to be doing a little bit of beer school and also having some beer news for you, talking about the happenings in the Colorado beer scene, what's going on with some of the breweries, and so forth. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. This round of beer news. May 3rd marks Big Brew Day, a day sponsored by the American Homebrewers Association to encourage everybody to get out and brew. So if you got a kettle at home, get out there and brew. Also, May 3rd, May 4th is the South Denver Beer Fest. It's going to be over 120 breweries, gluten-free options, wine and spirits as well. We'd also like to congratulate all of the Colorado craft breweries that took home a medal during the World Beer Cup. There's 94 categories, and Colorado craft breweries managed to take home a total of 24 medals. Congrats, guys. And then this month we also have 3 anniversaries coming up. Strange Brewing will be celebrating their anniversary from May 9th through May 19th. Colorado Plus will be celebrating their anniversary on May 17th, as well as Odyssey Brewing on May 17th. So be sure to check out the different websites and see the different events that will be going on around those anniversaries. This has been Beer News with Craft Colorado. I'm Erin Franklin Hutton, and that's the way the beer ferments. Hello, and welcome to Beer School. I'm Professor Dr. Erin Mother-Franklin Hutton, graduated top of my class at the Bierstmann-Schlampe University in Germany. I'm here to beer-educate you and hopefully make your beer drinking experience better. Today's lesson, we're going to cover the very basics of beer and what it is. Beer is made of 4 main ingredients. You have barley, which is where you get your fermentable sugars. It also provides the toasty, cereal, roasty notes, biscuits, kind of the bready category of flavors. Then you have hops. This is what balances out that sweetness from the barley and actually provides bitterness, it provides flavor, it provides aroma. You need yeast, of course, because without the yeast, then nothing can ferment. And the main ingredient is obviously water, which is essentially the medium where all of these ingredients come together to get your final product of beer. Basic brewing, first you take the barley, you have to mash it, you extract fermentable sugars from it. You move that sweet liquid into the boiled kettle. That's where you add the hops. The hops then, when they're boiling, will release their flavor attributes. After you're done boiling, you put it into the fermenter and add the yeast. Where the yeast does its magic, it will produce the alcohol and the CO2, at which point you have a finished product. And the most important part is then that you can drink that finished product that we now call beer. So, hopefully we'll see you more often here at the beer school, and we'll be able to dive into a little more depth on each of those topics. In the meantime, happy drinking. All right, we're sitting here with Strange Craft. I'm sitting with Daryl, Jules, and Tim. How you guys doing?
Hi,
Thanks for having us. We're doing great.
Good. So you guys were recently down at the CBC. How was that experience for you guys? The Craft Brewers Conference. CBC.
I want to get the whole thing.
Yeah, make sure everyone knows what I'm talking about, and not just throwing random acronyms out.
My favorite part about the Craft Brewers Conference is getting together with all of our cohorts. I didn't meet all 9,000 of us over the course of 4 days, but
extensive.
There's so many brewers that I only get to see once a year, and that's at the Craft Brewers Conference. So many brewers don't actually even make it to Great American Beer Festival.
Yeah.
Because they're so busy back at their own brewery brewing. Sometimes they don't even send personnel. to the Great American Beer Festival. They just send their beer and volunteers pour it. So
Yeah.
once a year, we get to see all of our friends at the Craft Brewers Conference, play catch up, share ideas, exchange beers that we've brewed over the course of the last year. We got to brew 2 beers, 2 collaborations.
Nice.
During Craft Brewers Conference Week, we brewed Strange Tail IPA with Free Tail out of San Antonio.
Okay.
We brewed that with them last September, and finally got to brew down in San Antonio. Now we finally got to brew it
back up
here so that we can
Awesome.
serve it and drink it.
Cool.
And then that was on Monday. And then on Tuesday, we brewed with Strange Ways out of Richmond, Virginia.
Okay.
Brewed a Belgian double. Probably call it Double Jeopardy. Since they went through the same issues that we went through last year. We'll
Gotcha.
kind of leave it at that.
Okay.
It's such an all-around great time. The seminars are cool. It's fun to, learn a few tidbits here and there. But the main thing is the networking.
Yeah. How many years have you guys gone down there?
These guys lucked out because it was in Denver this year, so they got to go.
So this is your first time down there
time.
for you guys?
We sent everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and for us, the really fun part about it is that we get to see a lot of the breweries from the other states come in, can taste our beers, can enjoy our beers, especially when we are able to have beers that are entered into competition. So that's very fun for us to be able to meet new people, have them tell us wonderful things about our beers.
Yeah. Like, wow, this is amazing beer.
So how long has Strange Craft been brewing in the state of Colorado?
We're going to be 4 years old next month,
How exciting.
May 19th.
So do you often work with people out of state? You said that you just collaborated with a company out of San Antonio in Texas. So
We did that last fall, and we just did 2 this spring. Those we've done a few in-state collaborations, but that was the first time that we got to do multiple out-of-state collaborations at one time.
seems pretty exciting.
It was a lot of fun.
To be able to share ideas, different brews that you might have had ideas of, and get their input on it even. Yeah.
And the fun part also is to you get to show off your brew house. You get to show off. Here's how we do this, and a lot of times there's a knowledge exchange there too, where other brewers we kind of look at. Why
do it like that.
Why do you do it
Maybe
like
I
that?
should try that technique. Or why are you guys doing that? That seems weird. Have you been to the last 4 or 5?
My
CBCs?
first one was Chicago in 2010.
2010,
And we
okay. So this is your
were
fourth
opening in 2 months.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, I
it was-
usually I make everybody else stay behind because it's so expensive and we're so small. We just really can't afford to bring everybody. So when it was here in Denver,
That's what I was gonna say. Like having it in Denver, that's the chance for everybody here to show off and kind of be like, "Hey, now it's your turn to come to our breweries," because it's a different
Our
city
turn.
every year. Do they? I wonder how often. I've never really looked in if they repeat it. Like how often they would repeat a city.
it'll be a while.
Yeah, it'll be a long time.
It's kind of like the Olympics.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't just have it there every year.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
the cool part about it is when they do the World Beer Cup, that's only every 2 years. We were lucky enough
To have it.
to be able to have the World Beer Cup here too.
That's cool. So did you guys go to all the seminars? Did you get to? I mean, you said the networking. Did you get a lot of contacts? Did you get a lot of new ideas at the CBC, going to the conferences and everything?
I think Jules and Daryl each brought home bags from the expo with 30
Lots of
pounds of swag.
Lots of free swag.
Booklets.
No, we tried to take advantage of the fact that we were sending 5 people. We didn't want to double up on seminars. Jules really focused on the sales and marketing tracks. Daryl and I and Mike and Tyler that we also sent. We sent 2 volunteers.
Okay.
To really dig into all the technical tracks.
Nice.
There's so many different technical seminars.
Yeah.
We try to spread it out and cover as much as possible. And then in our spare time, we haven't really done it yet. We still need to do the knowledge download.
Yes, we do.
Where we sit down. We need to make time an hour or 2 a day or an hour or 2 a
Everybody
week.
just goes,
Share a few things that we learned and all that before it fades to black and we lose it all.
Yeah.
What was the best seminar that you guys went to, or what was the most influential? I guess what's the thing you took the most away from it as far as those go?
I think the Belgian yeast.
Belgian Youth Seminar.
That was definitely the most
The 3.
technical one.
Yeah.
For me, it was more reinforcing to go to seminars and know it's things that I am doing already, and to know that I'm doing the right thing as far as employees and as far as marketing. The knowledge that I gained just from looking at taps and what goes on with them. I did a rotating tap seminar, and that was pretty cool. And looking at the different views between the distributor, which we don't. We are the distributor.
Luckily.
But we don't have to worry about that right now. But the distributor and what they thought, what the places outside, such as Colorado Plus, looks at, that was nice information to obtain.
Cool.
So you said that the Belgium, aren't you quite known for a Belgian brew yourself?
We have a few.
Yeah.
We have a few. We have our house Belgian yeast that we make quite a few brews with. Our farmhouse used to be our number one seller until the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The grapefruit IPA.
One that you guys have on
The
tap.
grapefruit IPA is kind of taking that one over.
That's a good one.
Our Cherry Creek is made with the farmhouse yeast. Our Juliet Belgian Pale. We have a few brews that we make that are Belgian inspired.
So a little bit about the Cherry Creek. Now, what goes into the making of the Cherry Creek brew that you have?
Now, the Cherry Creek is, it's kind of a play on words because it's not a true Belgian lambic. And we've had quite a few beer geeks, beer aficionados come in and remind me that it's not a true Belgian lambic. And I'm like, well, yeah, for multiple reasons. It's not spontaneously fermented. It's not brewed in the valley outside of Brussels, which I always forget the name of. But there's a creek that flows through Denver called Cherry Creek. And the beer
So that's how it ties
is
in.
cherry
Maybe
cherry.
they say the Platte River, and I was like, that doesn't.
Yeah, well,
Don't wanna get
we've
that
had a
beer
few
here.
muddy brews that we almost should have named Platte River,
Right.
but yeah, we tossed those. So yes, we have a lot of fun naming a bunch of our beers, and we had fun naming that one Cherry Cherry.
So
But we do take a lot of kickback for it.
Did you guys enter some beers into the World Beer Cup? How?
We did.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
many beers did you guys enter?
We were only allowed to enter 4.
Okay.
They've got a new format at the Brewers Association because there's so much interest now, and with 4,000, 5,000 beers to judge, it's quite an investment in time
that's
to get it done before the awards ceremony. So what they did this year is they asked every brewery that was interested, do you want to send beers? How many beers do you want to send? So they eventually came up with like 1,000 different breweries or so that wanted to send beers. So they said, okay, you can each send 4. That way they could limit how many beers the judges had to work through in 3 days.
That's a
Not
lot.
only that, but then it would end up being a monopoly of some sorts if one brewer decided to enter 10 beers as opposed to
Exactly.
It
one
used to be
other.
that way. You could send up to 10 beers and, try and, increase your odds of winning them.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like the lottery.
Cool.
So the fun part this year at the World Beer Cup was the huge number of breweries that won medals
Yeah.
this year. It was
How many
the
categories
most
are
they've
there?
ever
94.
94 this year.
Wow.
I think last year
You
was
got to enter into
95.
4
Last time was 90.
categories.
Yep.
So we sent in our Cherry Creek.
Cherry Creek.
We sent in our Zora Rosemary Pale,
Yeah.
another very unique beer that we brew.
That's an extremely unique
We
beer.
sent in our Hop Candy, which was an Imperial IPA that we barrel aged for a year.
Okay.
And
Was that the 1,000 barrel that you barrel aged, or is it a different?
it's
IPA?
totally different. We originally brewed it as an anniversary ale for Hops and Pie,
Okay.
and we had a bunch of it left, so we're like, well, let's age it on oak and see what happens.
Nice.
And a year later, we found the kegs hiding in the back of the cold room. Like,
Forgot
ooh,
about
let's
them.
try these.
So what you're saying is it worked out to your
That worked
advantage.
out great, and we'll tap that our anniversary week and
Perfect.
drink the heck out of that thing. And then we also sent in our Dr. Strangelove barley wine.
So
Or no,
when is
barley
your
wine, sorry.
anniversary week?
Our anniversary week is American Craft Beer Week.
Oh.
When I did the Craft Brewers Conference in 2010, Julia Hertz from the Brewers Association cornered me on the expo floor, and in Julia's own unique way, "What are you doing for American Craft Beer Week?" Because she's so energetic about craft beer.
Very.
And I said, opening? And immediately got on the phone with my partner. "What are the odds of us getting open by May 15th?
That's pretty awesome.
So we actually extended it this year because our anniversary actually falls on a Monday. So American Craft Beer Week starts on the 9th. So we'll be running 10 days of events.
And we always like to say, why celebrate your birthday for one day when you
Yeah,
can party
right?
for a whole week?
Well,
Right,
exactly.
right.
So that's what we're doing.
What
I mean, now
all
that
types
I'm-
of, I'm sorry.
So I have bands coming in probably at least 7 days of that. That we'll list that out. I have a couple of beer pairing dinners. I have an awesome cheese pairing on our anniversary with a cheese peddler.
And the actual anniversary is the 19th.
The 19th, yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're actually a day off of the American Craft Beer
Yep.
Week this year, but we don't care. We're just extending
We're
American
extending
Craft
it.
Beer Week.
Yeah.
And then the next week.
So how was the World Beer Cup for you guys?
How was the World Beer Cup?
There it
Give you the Vanna
is.
White.
Nice.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Is that the color gold?
That
would
is
be-
the color
Oh.
gold.
Wow. Nice. Congratulations.
That would be World Beer Cup gold for Cherry Creek
Cherry Creek.
and the
Cherry
fruit
Creek.
beer category.
Fruit beer category. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is this the actual first time you've ever won gold at the World Beer Cup?
This is our first World Beer Cup award.
Nice.
So that was
Wow,
really exciting. I was a little
congratulations.
enthusiastic that night, as Mike can attest. He said I jumped out of my seat about 6 feet.
6 feet, really?
I mean, to win gold your first time, really
It was pretty exciting.
winning,
It
that's
was,
exceptional.
Well, and in the as opposed to the Great American Beer Festival, you're competing against the world. Like anybody in the world that has a brewery can enter this competition.
Exactly.
So
it was
that also.
It was over 50 countries that entered this year. And
In that-
75 in all of the
in all
different
of it,
categories.
okay.
And it was 75% of the judges were international,
Nice.
which was really exciting.
That is exciting.
Definitely.
So
It's-
even though you weren't traditionally brewing your wild fermented
My
lambic,
yeah.
it's you still took the gold home. So
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty
that was
awesome.
that was exciting. This is the first medal that we've won, GABF or World Beer Cup, for one of the beers that we have on tap all the time.
Nice.
Amazing. So
First
people-
medal we won was for our gluten-free,
Okay.
which I started brewing because my wife found out she's gluten intolerant 6 months after we opened the brewery.
Oh, how sad. But
Eh.
a great reason to create something new.
And then we got a bronze the next year for our barley wine, which was a fun one to win, but we don't sell a lot of 12% alcohol pints across the bar of
Right.
barley wine. That's not really responsible.
Although we do sell a lot of 5%.
Yeah, we-
I mean, the 5-ounce pour is in our.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
those
And
go
that's a
across.
regular on tap now, just
The
because
Dr.
we were able to
Strange
get
is
enough
now?
going. Yeah.
Yes.
But
And
the
then-
Cherry
Still
Creek.
seasonal. Did that just
We'll
change
be
this
until
year?
we run out because we're doing one brew a year, so we're kind
Okay.
of doing vintages on the
Yeah.
Strange level.
Nice.
We still have a little bit of the
2012.
2012 left
Yeah.
Okay.
on tap.
And then we'll tap up to 2020, maybe by our anniversary.
That one you
Yeah,
aged
our anniversary.
for a year before
Yes.
you serve
Yeah.
Before we let anybody have it.
it, right? Okay.
Well, even longer because we did that one November 2012.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, anyway, let's get back to the Cherry
Yeah,
Creek
let's
and
talk
the
about
Heck
the
yeah.
Cherry
amazing medal.
Creek,
The
'cause
beer
this
of the
is
night.
here.
Beer of the night, of course. Yes.
Yeah, we even brought
So-
some for everybody to share.
Oh, we're gonna share some?
We
Excellent.
are.
So, you said it's not a traditional lambic. So do you guys have for your yeast strain, since it's not an open fermented wild yeast strain from the valley next to Brussels that none of us can remember right now. It's escaping me as well. What kind of yeast? Like what do you use for?
So we use our house Belgian yeast.
your house Belgian.
The same one that we make our farmhouse with.
And what is that a different blend that you guys have put together over the last few
That
years?
was a yeast that I harvested from a beer, a bottle of Saison de Abattoir.
Okay.
Homebrew buddy of mine brought a bottle back, like 2001, as a gift, just to let me know what I missed out on his Belgian beer
Right.
trip.
And then
And was drinking it while I'm reading a Zymergy article about, hey, you know that crud in the bottom of the bottle? You can brew with that.
nice.
And, being the crazy home brewer, I'm like, okay, let's figure it out. So we
Let's
grew
do
it
this.
up, and we propped it, and we grew it again, and that became my house Belgian strain. As a
Wow,
home brewer, it was
okay.
a lot easier to brew Belgians because I didn't have to worry about can I keep it at 66 or 68? What's the maximum temperature? I didn't have any temperature control.
Is that
But-
typical amongst Belgium brews, that you don't have to worry too much about the temperature?
Depending on the yeast, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And the warmer it ferments at, the funkier and more phenolic it'll get. So
Yeah.
our farmhouse we let ferment as hot as it'll get, and it usually in the 10-barrel fermenters gets up to around 85.
That's hot.
The Cherry Creek, we restrict that to about 75. It's just a nice small Belgian dark wheat beer.
Yeah.
Three malts, 1 hop, and our house Belgian strain. And
The-
it's mostly
the Cherry
just
Creek?
it's mostly just a nice base to showcase the cherries.
How much cherries do you guys actually use in this beer?
Too much.
A lot.
We calculated it out. We tried so many different ways. We tried frozen cherries, dry cherries, whole cherries, cherry juice, cherry puree. What really got the consistency was when we found a farm in Wisconsin that could produce a really super thick, it's like 68 bricks, puree
bricks?
concentrate.
Yeah, it's good.
We lose like a barrel per 10-barrel batch to all the sediment.
Yep.
As Jim says, it's everything but the pits and the sticks.
Yep.
And it's just a pureed
Yeah,
cherries up
it's
there.
a puree that we
and they
put
had that
in.
much sugar concentrated? I didn't realize cherries had so much.
Naturally, yeah.
Yeah.
Well-
I know. I didn't realize they were quite that high because we've used some stuff. We used the cherry juice last week in a beer we brewed that had it was like 20 Play-Doh,
Mm-hmm.
20 brewed. It was not anywhere near 68. So
Cherryland has been doing cherries since time began. That is Door County, Wisconsin's mainstay is their cherries.
Yeah.
So they've been processing and
groves.
doing concentrate for years and years.
nice, cool.
Yeah.
So it's nice and consistent. Quick ship to get another batch. We've been really lucky ever since Jules found Jim at Cherrylands. We've been really lucky. The consistency has been awesome.
Well, I'm really excited to try a glass of this. Why don't we go ahead and
Yeah, let's
test
dig
it
in.
out? I'm super excited. I mean, a gold medal winner.
Please, please.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers to the
Cheers.
gold.
Cheers to the
Yeah.
creek. Woo!
Woo!
And this is the gold medal batch.
This is the
This
gold
is
medal.
the batch that was
This is gonna
sent
be
in.
my next question. Is this the batch that won the?
Yep.
It's got a very interesting kind of flavor to it. It's got that cherry but it's not too strong either. So it's not an overpowering flavor. It's just very smooth
And that was the advantage to brewing 1 barrel at a time. When we first opened, we could spend a lot of time tweaking. I spent a lot of time tweaking it as a home brewer. As a home brewer, I spent more time trying to figure out the right ratio of cherries and when to put in the cherries. When I first started making this, actually the first time I made it was the day after my daughter was born. She came out with a big mop of red hair. I said, I gotta brew a red beer. And I didn't want to brew a Fat Tire clone. I didn't want to brew a Killian's Irish Red clone, so I brewed a cherry wheat beer. And 80% of the bombers exploded because of all the sugars that the cherry was added.
When do you add the cherries in?
We had the cherries in the bright tank after
Bright
we
tank.
pulled as much yeast out as possible.
So that the cherries don't ferment that much and add that much to the alcohol.
They
It's more-
they
more
actually
flavoring addition, or
they
do
unfortunately they still do. The house Belgian yeast that we use is a monster. It works
Yeah.
from 36 up to 96, I always say. And we actually have to bleed off. We
quite
have
the
to
range
bleed
of
off
yeast.
pressure from the Cherry Creek serving tank because it will continue to self-carbonate.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. It's got to be very almost like walking a line when you're dealing with certain flavors, additives, and things of that nature. You don't want it to come off too sweet or too strong, overpowering.
Yeah.
This gives the right amount of little bite whenever just the tip of your tongue, just a little flavor.
Just a nice little tart cherry.
Yeah, a little tart cherry. Not
I mean, the cherry is definitely the prominent flavor for sure. You're right.
Yeah, but it's just that little.
A good base malt to showcase the cherry.
Yeah, the beer doesn't get in the way. It's all about the cherry.
Very mellow, very mellow. I like that a lot.
Does your final gravity change from the fermenter to the bright tank? Is it a significant amount?
Mostly what it's going to do is we brew this beer. Again, the yeast is such a monster. It takes it down to like 2 Plato. In the fermenter. But then when we add the cherries, it adds back a bunch of mouthfeel. This doesn't drink like a super dry beer because of all the sugars and flavor that comes back from the cherries.
Sugar back in and then.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get an extra kick on the alcohol though?
We'll get
like a half a
percent. Maybe
0.2?
a 0.5%.
Okay.
I'm not smart enough to know how to calculate that out after we pulled out all the yeast and added all that extra sugar.
Important. You won the gold.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter if you know how to do the calculations on that. What matters is you know how to do the calculations on this. Congratulations.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks.
Cheers.
This is a
It's
fantastic
very
beer.
delicious. Well, thanks so much, you guys. This Cherry Creek is amazing. It's a wonderful brew, and thanks so much for coming on our show today. Congratulations to all the awards that you've been winning and for all the information that you gave us today.
Yeah, and thanks for talking about the CBC and the World Beer Cup.
Thanks for having us.
We really appreciate
Yes,
it.
we enjoyed it.
Hey guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Woo!
Thanks again for joining us for episode 2 of Craft Colorado. We wanted to give a special thanks to Colorado Plus for allowing us to host our program here each and every week. So I also wanted to thank Strange Craft for being on the show today. Want to give a special thanks to our co-host here, Erin Hutton. He's amazing. You should come in and see him sometime. Now I also want to tell you to follow us and make sure you follow us on our social media. Twitter, etc., Facebook. You can also find us online at craftcolorado.tv.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.